With Vince McMahon inspiring Ric Flair's return and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for May 20th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official, and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With his company previously beating WWE's tertiary brand NXT in what was called the Wednesday Night Ratings War, AEW President Tony Khan spoke to Forbes about how WWE is different to other promotions and how AEW is a competitor. The reason that no other wrestling company in the last few decades has had the foothold we've had is, in my opinion, twofold, and it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing. We've had the great exposure with the big TV contract that gives us great legitimacy. It also gives us great penetration. So it's a very easy show to find, and it feels like a big event every Wednesday because we have this partnership with TNT and Warner Media, and with such a powerful media partner, it makes this feel more legitimate, which brings me to my other point. None of the other wrestling companies that have come along in the last 20 years actually felt like a legit competitor, a real thing. They felt like fun, niche wrestling products, and if you're a big wrestling fan, they're things that you might watch, but they're not going to take households by storm. They weren't things that were going to win the night on TV. They might, on their night, get some wrestling fans to watch their show. But there hasn't been anything in wrestling that's come along in 2 decades that would be competitive in terms of a second national wrestling company, where it could stand to be the #1 show on cable in its night or even a top 5 show. There's nothing that's been like that. On Wednesday, Warner Bros. Discovery upfronts took place in New York City, where the company pushed their program lineup to advertisers. Given the fact that this took place on the same night as AEW Dynamite, no stars from the company made an appearance. The only thing that can be seen is a banner featuring Red Velvet, as Dave Meltzer pointed out in the Wrestling Observer newsletter how this could be a bad sign. As it turned out, things changed once again, and AEW wasn't pushed heavily at the Warner Media upfronts on the 18th, which I'd say is not a good sign. There was a banner of Warner Media properties, basically listing a hit show from every night of the week that listed the NBA on Monday, Chopped on Tuesday, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday with a photo of Red Velvet for whatever reason, although it was just a headshot, but still, for the NBA they put Steph Curry, and Red Velvet is hardly AEW Steph Curry. Anderson Cooper 360 on Thursday, Gold Rush on Friday, Love It or Leave It on Saturday, and 90 Day Fiancé on Sunday. In that sense, it was good positioning, and it was noted that the NHL and Major League Baseball didn't even get listings, but as far as any pushing of the ratings, demos, or anything else, it wasn't there. Although they really didn't do that for anyone. No AEW talent was there. There was a highlight of properties, and there was a quick AEW clip, but that was it. Wednesday is a bad day, since all the talent was in Houston, but reps from many of the key shows were there, and they could have sent someone if the network wanted it. As noted, this went through many phases. The original was a heavy push, then it was very little presence, then it was to be stronger, and as it turned out, it was positioned well at first, but wasn't pushed hard at all. Following his heart issues and retirement from in-ring action due to having a pacemaker installed, Triple H is apparently back to working for WWE full-time. It was announced by his wife, CBO Stephanie McMahon, that she would be taking time off, as Meltzer noted in the Observer newsletter that she had to take on many of his responsibilities during his absence. Being the youngest US champion, Theory has great aspirations and told Corey Graves on After the Bell that he wants to defend his belt against a man that popularized weekly open title challenges. It's just wild. That's who got me into WWE. At first, I wasn't crazy about sports entertainment, but I think I was just attached to that character, John Cena, and how it motivated me. Now to see that come to light and interact with me where I'm at in my career, it's just amazing. Especially what he did say on Twitter. I just thought that it was very interesting, but at the same time very motivating, so I'm very grateful for that. You know, it's WWE. We never know what could happen. I feel like we do have a feeling what could happen pretty soon though. I ultimately want to defend the United States Championship against John Cena. It was previously claimed that Harland was set to join Edge's Judgment Day stable as the 4th member, but would end up getting released. Now, it's been said on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE found something in his past that led to him getting cut. As it turns out, even though he did not get great recommendations from people in NXT, Parker Boudreaux, aka Harland, had been handpicked by Edge to be the 4th person in the Judgment Day. Ringside News reported it, and we were told that this was supposed to be a major secret, and that Edge had told very few, and he was one of the few who knew. They even kept it from Boudreaux, but it is accurate. The only thing we were told as to why it didn't happen is that the company found something out about Boudreaux and made the decision based on that. With many seeing a long, dominant title run for Roman Reigns, the Observer has given an update on the next 3 planned matches for him. Right now, the talk is, and none of this is close to etched in stone, that Reigns wrestles Riddle on July 2nd, Orton on July 30th, and McIntyre on September 3rd. The first Summer TV Reigns was announced for July 25th in Madison Square Garden, which is the go-home Raw for SummerSlam. Reigns will be appearing on TVs to build those 3 matches, and has also been announced for the July 22nd SmackDown in Boston and the August 19th SmackDown in Montreal. There had been concerns that Reigns could be stepping away from WWE, but it seems he will still be active as the world champion. Speaking about what inspired his return match coming up on July 31st for StarCast, Ric Flair revealed that seeing the WWE chairman make a brief comeback at WrestleMania with Steve Austin inspired him to have his own return. You know, I've never been happy with the way I left. When I left after WWE, it was great, but then I had to wrestle a couple more times, as Flair wrestled 16 matches for TNA Wrestling and a Hulk Hogan tour of Australia, because I was paying lawyers and paying alimony, and that's basically the nuts and bolts of it, a lot of both, but I wasn't happy with that at all. Wasn't happy with myself. And then I saw Vince at WrestleMania 38. I saw Steve Austin out there, and it actually really inspired me. I'd been thinking about it, and even though I've had my share of issues, I don't have any aches or pains, if that makes sense. It would also be said by Meltzer that Flair is now back with Wendy Barlow. It reported that Naomi and Sasha Banks were set to feud for the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. Their recent walkout on Raw has brought up some trouble with finding opponents for Ronda Rousey on the Blue brand. During the main event on Monday, the original 6-pack challenge, set to see Naomi pin Sasha to win, was ultimately turned into a singles match between Becky Lynch and Asuka, where the Empress of Tomorrow earned the opportunity to face Bianca Belair for the Raw title. When it comes to potential opponents for SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey, the Observer said, there will likely be a few matches strongly pushed on SmackDown this week. A key would be a new Rousey opponent, unless Naomi or Banks returns, or they send Rhea Ripley over. The pickings are slim, with Natalya and Shayna Baszler as the top contenders. Natalya is friends with Rousey, and possibly could have a great pay-per-view match with her, since they did a TV match on Rousey's first run that was very good, and Baszler and Rousey are best friends, and would likely be a dream match for both of them. With Brad Shepard reporting that the former women's tag team champions had been pulled from upcoming live events, PW Insider confirmed that Banks and Naomi are no longer on the road for WWE. Naomi's husband, Jimmy Uso, is in Michigan for the taping tonight, but Naomi did not travel with him, according to WWE sources. Banks has not been seen in Michigan, and a longtime Elite subscriber sent word last night that Banks was on the same flight as her going to Minneapolis from Orlando. While many are showing their support for the two, Meltzer stated those in the locker room can't wrap their head around the decision to walk out. Talent that we've been in contact with could not understand their position, noting that they were always booked for major singles title matches on pay-per-view. While they would lose, singles matches on a pay-per-view with Belair and Rousey would be the best opportunity to showcase themselves even if losing. A tag title match with Nikki and Doudrop would mean nothing at this point. Tag champs losing to singles champs in a singles match is neither bad booking, historically unusual booking, nor does it hurt the titles. If anything, after being in the bigger singles matches, it would elevate the stature of the tag champions, because of how WWE has brainwashed the audience into thinking single stars are a bigger deal than tag team champions. WWE absolutely has buried tag champions over the years, and not pushed them seriously, such as tag champs being in handicap matches with a single star and losing, or being afterthoughts, or in pre-show matches, or not even being on major events. But this was not a case of that. As previously noted, the replacement match, Lynch vs. Asuka, saw Becky before the bout pitch the encounter after being made aware of the situation. A suggestion was made, reportedly by Lynch, to have Lynch vs. Asuka in a singles match for the title shot, because they are trying to avoid a straight singles match with Belair and Lynch until a major pay-per-view show. Lynch couldn't win here, so Asuka pinned Lynch after blowing green mist in her eyes when Lynch at first tried to use Asuka's umbrella as a foreign object. And this is your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.